Welcome to another episode here at the Chapter Chatter at the Round Table. I'm here with my brother Dustin. What's up, man?
What's going on, man?
Oh, man, we're just getting started, dude. It's a change of scenery, but it's,
Change of scenery,
you know
new
what?
challenges.
This is the life of fatherhood. You know, wanting to grow some. It's just, this is what it takes.
Yes,
and
sir.
It's all part of the experience and the journey and the talk, and we make it work no matter what. That's the case.
Yes.
And we follow through whenever
Hey, yeah.
the pressure's on. So
Yeah.
Right.
I was going to do that. You beat me to it.
So, guys, Relentless, talking about this again, Chapter Chatter. This is chapter or session 7, I guess. I think it's essentially what it is. Anyways,
Lost count.
yeah, the introduction to this one is you're not intimidated by pressure, you thrive on it. And he says a cooler is never in a situation where he has to be clutch. A closer is clutch in high pressure situations, and a cleaner is always clutch. So, what'd you get from this one, man? Jump right into it.
You know, this I liked right at the beginning when he's talking about there's no such thing as a clutch gene. And how when you get the announcers and stuff and they're like, "Oh, he pulls out, he's got the clutch game going." And I mean, I agree. I can't find a reason where, you know, it's not, in my opinion, I mean, I've read the whole chapter, you guys should. It's not, I'm not coming in clutch. I'm using the pressure and building that pressure. And right there at the end is where all the pressure is, and you've already done all the work up to that point. It's just closing out the deal, finishing up, cleaning up. You know, this whole chapter, it took me a minute to figure out what it was about again, just because I was focused on the words, but I wasn't as focused, if that makes sense. I was reading 2 different books, so I was kind of bounced back. And then when I was reading it today, because I was listening to it first, and I was doing my walk and listening, and my mind started moving a little bit. So I didn't catch every word. And I'm like, what's going on? So when I'm on the bike reading it today, I'm like, oh my gosh, pressure. It's clear as day what it is, but it's pressure. He's talking about how, you know, the cleaners strive under pressure. And it makes sense because, I mean, at least for me, and I know for you, I mean, when the pressure's on, generally you can step up the game a little bit. It's one or the other. You either step up or you drop the ball like crazy. But
that's very, very true. And I think one of the things that he says here is every moment is a pressure situation, and everything is always on the line. So it's that mentality of that. He kind of puts it in the perspective of like a basketball game, because that's a lot of the people that he trained, and a lot of references he goes off of is basketball. And he talks about, you know, not being, it's almost like being on all quarters and not just waiting for the fourth quarter, the final shot. You're always on, and you're always seeking that pressure. You're actually looking for the pressure situations to push it to the next level. So where others might use pressure as stress, you transform that pressure and stress into like a motivator as your next like level, your next click where you go into it. One of the things that really jumped out to me when he talks about, he says that when a cleaner wants a break from the pressure he puts on himself, he escapes to go to the dark side. So he talks about that pressure isn't applied by other people or other sources. The pressure is always applied internally by yourself.
Yep.
So and it goes back to the very beginning chapters where he talks about you're in control. Like it's all you. You are the center of everything. The more you control that stress, all that stuff, all the pressure, that's all you're in control of. And I know that there's something in here that I highlighted before.
Go ahead. What I got from, and it goes off of what you're talking about, but when he's talking about how when that cleaner needs to get away, I mean, you start thinking about all the greats. What do? They either start drinking, start doing drugs, hopefully not, or they escape to sex. You know, Tiger Woods. He talks about Tiger Woods a lot. You know, and that's exactly that. That was his escape from everything. That was his dark side. That was his escape from all the pressure. He would go, you know, have a good time. I wasn't sure how I wanted to word that, but, you know, go have a good time, and he's back and ready to go. You know, somebody might go and get a drink, or, I mean, I'm curious what Kobe and Michael did. I mean, and he doesn't really talk about what they did.
Yeah.
But, I mean, those guys, they obviously had some sort of out, but they kept their, you know, he talks a lot about Michael at least, and the privacy Michael held after he left. But the composure, I mean, this is not even in this chapter, but it's just amazing the composure that man had from the get-go to the end.
Right.
And it didn't matter when the pressure was.
Yeah, he was on at all.
He was on
Yep.
all the time.
Yeah, I did love that part as well. And one thing that really jumped out too was, and I hate to just read inserts from the book, but it's such a good book, so I hope that people can pick this up and really read it. But it says most people choose not. So everyone can handle pressure. Most people choose not to because it's easier to stay safe in the comfort zone. But if you want to be successful, to have the place in the sun, then you have to leave the shade. It's not easy to leave the shade. It's cool and comfortable compared to the hot discomfort of the sun. But you can't be relentless if you can't take discomfort. And you can't be unstoppable if you only deal with pressure when you have no choice. So to me, this whole chapter was literally about pressure and having to, you just have to expand in that. You have to have an acceptance part of like, pressure is just part of life. And I think you talked about this. I know you talked about this last week in the Q&A, and it was about, the not being able to sleep and how, you've built the habit of waking up at 4 a.m. and how it sucks. It's not easy, but it's actually brutal. Easier than you thought it would be, but it's because you built that habit. And it reminded me of you because I was like, okay, well, he looks at it that way, and it's that mindset of like that pressure that you put on yourself, but you're seeking it. You're thriving in that pressure instead of just backing down and just not even trying, not even willing to push through.
I mean, I can relate a lot of this, and I know you can too. But like when you're doing 75 hard, when you're doing something, when you're showing up to the gym, the pressure to get all that stuff done. I mean, it can be a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like we were talking before we started recording this because I was finishing my workout. It was something I was just got home, getting ready to go to the gym, and my really good friend calls me and he's like, "Hey, I really could use your help." And in a pressure situation, I'm like, "Man, what do I got? I know I've got to get my workout in. I know I've got to be back at a certain time. I know I'm like a 30-minute drive just to get to him. God forbid everything goes smooth," which it did. The pressure was on, but it was also like, okay, how do I dial everything in and get everything managed right? And I did. I got home, wife, love you. I got to go get on the bike, because it's now or whenever you get home,
yeah.
11 o'clock at night.
Yep.
Which, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm going to get done what I need to get done. But,
right.
That pressure was there. And I'm like, hey, I need to dial it in. I need to map it out. I need to plan it out and execute it. And I did. And I mean, I appreciate you hanging out for a little bit while I do it,
Always.
And coming over and doing this instead, tonight, with Father's Day coming up and everything, we switched some plans around. So,
yep. No, I agree that's I think this chapter is all about pressure. So, anything else you want to hit on this one?
No, I think that's it.
Guys, dive into the pressure. Keep the consistency. Pick up the book, please, guys. We're going to keep pounding this in. Pick up the book. Pick up the audiobook. It's free in multiple places. Just do your research. But at least listen to the audio. This has got some great stuff in it. So,
and to add on to that, the audio, if you get the right audio, I believe, it has Grover talking.
It does.
So not only do you hear them talking about the book, they read it, and then they talk about each chapter. They kind of give a little bit of what we're doing right here, and it's different. I don't think we've said anything that he said, but he also adds a little bit extra to it. So highly suggest the audiobook along with reading it.
Agreed. So. Awesome, man. Well, another great chapter chatter, and we'll catch you next week.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.